Hey, Bourbon World, here we are on Journeys in Bourbon Talk. We're talking to Blake Jones here, owner of West Fork Brewery, Distillery actually, right?
Distillery, that's
Distillery. They used to have a location downtown in Indianapolis.
Still do.
Still do. And some of you might have been to that location. I know I have. And now we're in this beautiful new location, and we want to take you behind the scenes. We're going to be sampling some very fine bourbon, and we're going to have him tell us all about the background and history, and hopefully I can add a few things of how it tastes. I'm not a bourbon expert yet. So anyway, so when did you guys tell me about first of all, tell me about who's all owners.
Yeah, so from a co-founding team, we've got myself, so Blake Jones, co-founder, co-CEO. I've got my childhood best friend, David McIntyre, co-CEO, and then our third co-founder, who's actually my brother. So don't do business with your brother and your friends, and I did both. Who runs Head Distilling? He's our head distiller and helps us with production operations and things like that. So. Yeah, all from Southern Indiana, and we say we're hell-bent on creating uniquely Indiana whiskey and bourbon.
Which Indiana whiskey is probably better than Kentucky whiskey? That'll cause a fight.
I mean, we certainly have a chip on our shoulder. You know, we think we have better or just as good a water here. We certainly have more temperature fluctuations, which is important, and we make some of the best grain in the world here. You know, we always ask people, you know, when they ask you why Indiana, why'd you start it? We ask about, or we ask, what do you think of when you think of Indiana? And you know, it's either racing or corn, right? And guess what? Well, we love corn, right? We want to adopt that identity and capitalize on that identity. So we love Indiana and we love making bourbon here.
Well, one of your people worked for you, VP of Marketing, said that, and I never heard this before, that Indiana corn goes to Kentucky.
Oh, tons of it.
And so they're using our corn for their bourbon.
Yeah, no, that and certainly not just Indiana corn, but you know, Ohio, Illinois, probably Iowa, maybe Nebraska. I mean, when you talk about sweet spots for really probably the best corn, you're really probably talking about Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, and Ohio. And so there are many large companies who buy a lot or all of their corn from Indiana.
And from what I understand, again, I was told that we have limestone water, which helps the corn. Is that?
That's correct. So limestone water is very important because of the minerality in the water, which helps impart good flavoring eventually in the process. And so under us is massive limestone aquifers.
Okay.
And so that's where all of our water is pulled from here at West Fork.
So you went to IU, you got your master's in finance.
Yep, MBA in finance, yep.
In Butler. How in the world did you three guys decide you wanted to make bourbon?
So we joked that it's a banker, a lawyer, and a doctor all started a company together. I started in insurance and then banking. My childhood best friend David, consulting and law and banking, and my brother, undergrad in biochemistry, master in biology, and dropped out of medical school after 3 years to chase this dream. And frankly, one of the reasons why we did it is, yes, we do want to make money. We have to make money to be sustainable. But we love Indiana. We love the state of Indiana, and it really did piss us off, frankly, that Indiana didn't have some really well-known brands that they were being cultivated. They did before Prohibition, but Prohibition killed all those brands. And when we cashed our 401ks, guaranteed some banknotes, and maxed out some credit cards, we really just wanted to create a unique Indiana style and unique bourbons that are very corn-forward and sweet and very easy drinking. And so we did it because of the passion for the state and the passion for the bourbon.
And I think you've won some awards, haven't you?
We've won a few awards. We've been fortunate that over the 9 years in our company history, that we won a few years ago at the International Whiskey Competition. We won Best Micro Whiskey in the country. That was written about in Forbes. Been rated above 90 points in Wine Enthusiast, Tasting Panel, won golds, double golds, innovation awards, platinums, had a number of international and national awards throughout our brand sets. So we're fortunate. We're going to keep entering those. We want to keep trying to make just, again, great, approachably priced bourbon here in Indiana.
That's awesome. So when you set out, did you guys know a lot about bourbon, or there's no college courses on bourbon, is there?
Yeah, there certainly are, and it's typically maybe chemical engineering, certainly some biochemistry, and there are some certificates with brewing and winemaking and starting to be in distilling at various universities around the Midwest, and certainly out of Kentucky. They have a distilling institute at the University of Kentucky now. But no, when I was in school, and most folks were in school, there was no formal education per se, and we all got independently passionate about bourbon and whiskey. And for my brother and I, it was really Scotch and Irish whiskey first. I love really peated Scotch. Don't drink a lick of it now. But that was kind of our first foray. After we turned 21, our father was kind of a collector. He really loved it, really got into it, and we started tasting with them. And then one thing led to another, and we became, again, very passionate about bourbon.
So for you bourbon people that are just starting to drink bourbon, I'm going to let him tell you what the definition of bourbon is. It has to be in certain things to call it bourbon. And if I'm correct, everything's bourbon whiskey.
Yeah, so all bourbon is whiskey, not all whiskey is bourbon.
There you go.
So whiskey is an umbrella category for in America for spirits that are made from grain, right, or cereal grain is what the law is. And so for bourbon specifically, which there are other styles like rye, wheat, single malts, American whiskey, etc. Has to be. There are a few other nuances that I won't mention, but for the most part, 51% corn, made in America, distilled no more than 160 proof, barreled at no more than 125 proof in a new charred American oak container. I don't even think it actually says barreled. There's no minimum age requirement for bourbon. To call it straight, you have to be at least 2 years, to put no age statement on it whatsoever. It has to be at least 4, and it cannot be bottled at anything less than 80 proof. So anywhere in America can make bourbon.
And as one of my fellow board guys do, he likes over 100 proof bourbon. So you're saying that bourbon has to be made in America. So I can't have no Chinese come over here and call it bourbon, right?
You know, you could.
I don't want it.
If it was made in Asia, you know, you could certainly make a bourbon-esque product, but due to most of our international trade agreements, much like tequila is protected, or Scotch or Irish whiskey is protected, or maybe champagne or certain other styles of alcohol from around the world, we've agreed that, hey, to officially become bourbon in America, it has to be made in America.
Okay. Now, earlier, you were telling me about this was, I think, 95% corn?
99% corn.
So can we sample this?
Absolutely. So I've got a few different things here. I brought a good kind of representation as to a couple of our core SKUs, or what will be one of our core SKUs in the very near future, and then a couple specialty products. So our Hamer brand set is all 99% corn, 1% malted barley. And the first one we're going to try here, get our palates going, and we may or may not have had some already, but is a 4-year-old 99% corn bourbon aged in a number 4 char American oak barrel. And one thing I mentioned maybe earlier is that we like to create very corn-forward, sweet, approachably priced bourbon, or approachably not just priced, but also on the palate. And so with this one, what I really like about it is for 100 proof, it doesn't drink like 100 proof. It's going to be more sweet, mellow. Yeah, of course, you're going to get those vanilla notes, but fruity almost, and a little bit of nutty as well to balance that.
I smell the fruit. I mean, I really do.
Yeah, I mean, so, and when you smell this, right, in your long, slow draw, you almost get like a stone fruit or cherry fruit or something along those lines, and that's predominantly not just the proof, because a lot of times you can correlate sweetness with proof, but also with that 99% corn mash bill.
Okay. Do we need to bring the bottle up close so people can see it close up or not? Okay.
And so with this one, decently robust mouthfeel.
It doesn't hit me hard like a
No.
higher proof bourbons. This is smooth.
Sweet, smooth, good caramel, good oak, good vanilla.
I would say no leather taste.
Good
either.
cherry. You know, you certainly get that from some bourbons. You know, I try to personally steer away from those a little bit. It's just my personal palate. Not saying there's anything wrong with them at all. But just a nice everyday middle proof bourbon.
Now, when you drink, like say this bourbon,
Mm-hmm.
are you one of these people that like to pair it with a certain kind of food, or does it matter? I mean, I drink bourbon with everything.
You know, we talked about this a little bit offline. You find a way to enjoy bourbon however you want to enjoy bourbon, right? That's my hard rule. And so for me, yeah, there are certainly certain moods or times that I prefer one experience over the other, or adding ice. But for this particular one, I think it's pretty well rounded, and I think it goes with a lot of different things. So I think you're okay. If you're feeling a bourbon, this one will go.
You know, I'm 60 now, but I can see I could have enjoyed this while watching my kids play soccer. But I don't think they'll let me.
Well, I know.
This right here is.
We all know some parents who sneak it in their thermos.
Yeah, I think one of my cameramen.
And being next to Grand Park, you know, I'm sure there are a few that walk out of here and maybe have enjoyed it before they go over there and watch their kids play baseball or softball.
That's one of my favorite bourbons so far.
Yeah, so this one is won golds at the San Francisco International Spirits Competition. I thought it was a good representation. We also make it and bottle it in 80 proof and a cask strength version. But I thought this one was a good middle ground to get an idea about what the core of Old Hamer was about.
Where'd you get the name Old Hamer?
Yeah, so which leads me to a great question is why West Fork and why Old Hamer? And so frankly, it's how we separate our grain to glass line and our kind of experimental, more innovative line with kind of what we have as more of a blue collar, feel like it's been around a long time, and what we use a contract manufacturer for.
Now, you have is this part of the farm to, I call it farm to table, but where the farmers bring it in? Is this the one they were?
So this one is contracted with the MGP out of Southern Indiana, and so
Okay.
they're the largest contract manufacturer of bourbon in the world. And rye in the world. And so we contract them to make this mash bill for us.
Okay.
And then they age some, we age some, and we do all the bottling, blending, finishing, everything like that.
Okay. What's next?
What's next?
You got anything else to say about that one?
No, that's great.
Hey, will you put this in my bag?
You can take the samples, that's fine with me. You just can't sell them at your bar.
That's right.
So we're gonna go to our high rye bottle and bond next. So this one, so bottle and bond is a category, kind of a subcategory of all spirits. Well, I guess not all, because vodka would never qualify, but brandy certainly do, and other aged spirits certainly can if they're made in America. Where it's at least 4 years old. It came around in the late 1800s about truth in labeling laws, right? Where had to be 100 proof. Had to be over 4 years old. The blend of barrels or the single barrel had to be from one distilling season, which is the first 6 months of the year, the last 6 months of the year, in addition to all the other, and aged in a bonded warehouse, and in addition to all the other requirements.
A bonded warehouse?
A bonded warehouse, that's right. So every one of the warehouses that we have, and pretty much everyone has legally, it should be bonded, is under government supervision. So in the 1800s, this was a little more prevalent than it is today. It became, again, it allowed us to build trust in the consumer as an industry. And so this one's a much different experience. So this one's 73% corn, 27% rye, so it's a 2-grain. It's going to be much more caramel and raisin.
You know, it just amazes me, different tastes, how different they can be. This one,
I mean, great caramel, good oak, a lot of like dry raisin.
all I can say is great.
I love.
I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just great.
I love this particular one because it's got more depth than that 99% corn, which I prefer sweet. But for those of you who want a little bit more depth and richness, it's a little richer, and it certainly kind of hangs out in your mouth a little bit more. It's not sharp. This is a really good one for that.
So what he's doing, folks, is he's describing exactly how I'm feeling. I don't know if that's suggestive, but everything he says is exactly how the taste is to me.
That's just how I'm feeling.
I just don't know. I don't know how to describe it. That's the thing.
I've drank a little bit.
Yeah.
If I don't know my babies, then I guess they shouldn't be my babies here.
Since one of our cameramen here's favorite drink is the old fashioned.
Okay.
When's your favorite to make an old fashioned with? And I know you don't like to mix too much.
Yeah, I actually, I don't even know what cocktails are. We run a few bars as part of our business, and I couldn't even tell you, besides some old fashions, what is on the menus.
Okay.
And the cocktails. I used to be more passionate about them, but I drink bourbon neat or on the rocks occasionally. Cheap beer and good wine. I mean, that's kind of where I hang out.
So you're a Keystone drinker?
Not Keystone. Busch Light though. I've
Light?
definitely been known to drink some Busch Light in my day. Not that I love my craft beer, Sun King and Upland and some other great ones around here as well. But no, an old fashioned. I mean, an old fashioned should never be sweet. So if you see anybody who is,
You agree with that, Bryce? He's the old-fashioned. He drank like
Old fashions are a pretty simple cocktail, and they really came around, I think, in Prohibition, and I might be wrong about that, but it's an old classic cocktail where we didn't have a lot of choices for mixers or other things, and so, really to make a good old fashioned, I would argue that you want something a little bit more robust. So I think the high rye, maybe this rum finish, probably not this roasted corn, which we'll get to in a little bit.
This flavor was more bolder than that, so I can see.
Yeah, so when you balance it with a little bit of a simple syrup, right, and a little bit of bitters, and then you expression orange and throw a cherry in there, it'll balance that sugar sweetness a little bit better, and it'll stand up a little better.
Okay. It's very good.
Yeah, I know. This one's good. So if you like a little richer,
I feel sorry for you cameramen there. You don't get to drink any right now.
They could. That's your decision.
Well, I don't care if they do.
All right, so next one. This one, towards the end of last year, our Hugh Hamer rum finish won, Best in Indiana at the American Craft Spirits Association Midwest Bourbon Festival. So it was Best of Show for the state of Indiana. This is my favorite of our Old Hamer line, finishing line. So the Hugh Hamer, whenever you see this, means it's been double barreled. So over 4 years in the first initial resting, and then it's been finished in some form or fashion in a second barrel. So this one, once.
And I gotta.
Please.
I gotta back you up here.
I'm chatting like crazy. Interrupt me anytime.
Go ahead and pour too. You told me earlier that most people pay $300 to $500 for one of these barrels empty. Is that right?
That's before you even put a spirit in it.
And so you're talking they double barrel, so that could be $600 to $1,000 just in a barrel.
Yeah, the used barrel market, just like everything, as we know over the last few years, it's gone up in price. And so what you used to be able to buy for $100, $200, you're now buying for $300, $400, $500, $600, and then some of these popular finishes, you'll see those for $600 to $1,000 just to dump it out of this first barrel after aging it for years, right? So keep in mind, I still got an investment in this barrel, right, with spirit, and then putting it into a finished barrel, and then cultivating that anywhere between probably 3 to 6 months or even a couple years.
It's a lot of patience.
It's a lot of patience.
You guys probably can't see this right now.
You said I looked old, so that's why.
Well, you look older than me, maybe. I don't know. But, earlier, we're in the warehouse, but they pouring water over these barrels to make sure the seal's good. And those barrels held what, honey?
Yeah, those barrels held honey. So
that's just amazing that you reuse a barrel like with honey and
in anything. And again, the second barrel that we finished this one, it was a bourbon barrel first, then it became a rum barrel for 5 to 7 years at this particular distillery out of the Caribbean, and then it had a third life holding bourbon again. And so we've used everything from former wine barrels to different styles of brandy barrels to barrels that previously had maple syrup in them, to honey, to you name it. So we're back in our Hamer line. So we went to the Westbrook line, now back to the Hamer line. And so this one, 99% corn, but what that rum barrel does, it gives it some extra viscosity, oily components, and some rich spice, like a rum.
Wow. I'm just so impressed. And the other day I just had a $400 bottle of bourbon, and it wasn't near as this good.
I don't know how much I want to say about that. Look, there's great bourbon on the shelf at every store on a day-to-day basis. Some things that are allocated are well worth it. Some I would say maybe not. But the most important thing, and you heard me say this a couple times before we got on here, is find the bourbon you love, and that's what's most important.
And this is how much proof?
It's 103 proof.
I don't have my eyeglasses. 103 proof, and this is smooth.
So we are not going to drink anything under 100 proof. We went 100, 100, 103, and I think this particular batch is 120.4.
You have 150?
I don't think anybody has ever seen a barrel get up to 150 because, again, to make bourbon, it can't be barreled more than 125.
Okay.
Now, then it'll change proof while it's aging. It'll go up or down depending on how you age, typically up. But no, we've never gotten a barrel. We've gotten above 135, but that's it. Yeah, just a reach, dip, deep, sweet spice experience on this.
I just want to go home and throw out what I have. I mean, really, I
don't know what you have, but
I don't care if we're filming this or not. I'm being sincere. This is just amazing.
I don't know what you have, but
Well, I have a Weller $400 bottle.
we try to make great bourbon, and I love Weller. I'm a big Buffalo Trace and Sazerac fan for the most part. And we respect other people's styles for sure and other people's philosophies. But again, we're trying to make very approachable, good bourbon right here.
I don't know if I explained this earlier, folks. I actually own a bar, Journeys Inn, in Bourbon, Indiana, and that's why we call this Journeys Inn Bourbon Talk. And my goal is to travel to places and bring you the backstories, meet the owners, these entrepreneurs that step out and are successful and create a great product. So my goal is to hopefully you guys will come and see this. There are 2 locations, but the one to come to is up here in Westfield.
Yeah, come to either. They're vastly different experiences. Our one in near North Side, Indianapolis, got a great tasting room. We're still distilling there. It's a very, very cool, authentic experience, very hands-on. And then up in Westfield, across from Grand Park, a couple minutes off of Highway 31, we have a restaurant, a couple bars. We're not in production here yet, but we will be by the end of the year. We do some thieving experiences where you can taste whiskey directly out of a barrel with our staff, try a lot of our products.
Too.
We have an event center, so we do a number of things here.
And we haven't finished the bourbon yet, but while we're talking, and I think there's plans for a hotel.
Oh, well.
With an indoor water park for adults only?
Man, that's a lot of money. I don't got that kind of money. But no, we're not done. We're not done improving our business, and certainly not done here in Westfield. Ultimately, we control 25.5 acres here. So we want to continue to cultivate and experience this complementary to what we do, with some good family-friendly nature and parts to it because of where we're located, and so no, we're not done building.
And you
here.
do have family dining, right?
Absolutely.
And you have good food.
We have great food.
Great food. Cheers.
Cheers.
Man, I just can't get over how good this bourbon is. I really can't. I mean, just folks, just a week or 2 ago, we filmed at my bar, and we sampled 6 bourbons. And I don't think I'm going to order any of them. Because these are awesome.
Well, in Indiana, we're available from R&DC. Tell your rep.
I will.
They better be able to know, they better know how to order it. This one's readily available. This one's readily available. This one will be readily available over the next few months. This one is a very specialty limited product that we've only got a handful of barrels, but we're making some more of it. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it out. This is a really cool product. So it is 100% corn, but a certain percentage of it is roasted. So it's an amber roast, so it's a light roast. So it brings out a really unique, cool chocolate kind of toffee experience, and that balances that kind of corn sweetness and caramel and vanilla. So that's why I wanted to grab this one. It's part of our Distillery's collection, which means it's a very limited release. 120.4 proof. I don't know if I can let you. I can give you a couple of these. I don't know if that one can walk out the door.
So, but people can come in and you have a sampling place.
Absolutely.
You have a high-end cocktail lounge.
We
and then
do.
You have a regular bar.
Yep.
And what else did you?
And you can get beer and wine here as well.
Beer and wine?
If bourbon isn't your thing and whiskey isn't your thing,
got Busch Light on draft?
that's okay. We do not. We only sell craft beer here.
I thought you like Busch Light.
I do, but I don't think Bud Light and AB InBev are going to put my bourbons in their bars, so
Okay.
I don't put their beer in my bars.
All right.
And we love the people we do business with locally, Sun King, Upland, Grand Junction down the street.
Keep it local.
We want to support people who are supporting us for sure, and keep that money right here because that's what we want people to do for us.
Well, like I told you earlier, I'm going to have a special cabinet made just for all Indiana bourbon. And hopefully we can get Indiana as a bourbon destination and a bourbon trail.
There are some good ones out there. I've got some great friends in the community. I'm a member of the Indiana Distillers Guild and fortunate enough to be part of the leadership group of the guild. There are some great people that would appreciate that. So this one's a cool experience. Again, 100% corn. A certain percentage of it is roasted. Still playing around with how much we want roasted. Aged in a number 3 char American oak barrel.
Now, do you have someone else roasted, or do you have a roaster here?
We do not do any of our own grain milling and don't do
Okay.
any of our own malting or roasting.
Okay.
We leave that to the professionals in that space.
Okay, I like your answer.
So, as you can tell on the palate, phenomenal. Love this. It is on the middle and back end. It's going to be very chocolate and rich.
I wish I could just tell you one of your bourbons sucking it. It's too strong. So far, you're batting 1,000. It's unbelievable.
This one's 120.4 proof, so it is a more robust bourbon with some good depth. But you know, I love this one because I think it does have a really nice time and a place for somebody. It's not a good everyday drinker per se, but I could definitely see someone, you know, finishing their day on a Friday night.
What you talking about, Wills? I'll drink this every day.
But well, some people don't like that rich toffee kind of coffee, chocolate experience that you're getting with the notes on this one. But this is a cool ass bourbon. Sorry for cussing. I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Cuss all you want. We can always edit. A lot of my bourbon followers, they like to cuss. You know, I've seen these charts where they rate bourbon, they rate alcohol. Do you have these charts somewhere in here?
We don't
Like
have
your awards you won? Did they rate you?
Yeah, we certainly get feedback, and you know, some of that feedback we get disappointed in because we feel like that it is very technically sound and a competitive product, and sometimes you enter the same products in a different award competition and it's the complete opposite. You get nothing but glowing, right? And which brings me back to something that I've said already on this and I told you multiple times. Everybody's palate's different.
You're right.
And find what you enjoy.
Excuse me for a minute. I'm going to grab this now. I saw this at your tasting table, and this is what you got for when people come to your place.
That's correct.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so basically what you see on one side, you have a lot of the West Fork brands, and then on the back side, you have a lot of the Old Hamer and Hugh Hamer brands. You know, we constantly cycle. We always have our core of both of the lines, but then we cycle through different limited time offerings and expressions, depending on the year and what we have available and what has come to age appropriately.
Okay. I guess we ought to finish this one, huh?
Yeah, and again, this one, you talk to either of the two co-founders, I love this one. And this is the amber roasted corn.
I got to tell you, out of all four, I think this so far is my favorite.
Okay. All right. Duly noted, because it's all up here. Well, I think you're going to like this one, though. So this is our chocolate malted rye bourbon. So this one's really, really cool. It's a 2-grain. So we tried the bottle and bond without kind of specialty malts or roasts. It's the same grain bill, so it's 77% corn, 23% chocolate malted rye. So this is even deeper, richer chocolate and coffee experience.
This was the last one we just had.
This is the last one we just had.
So that one had a lot longer aftertaste than all the other.
It's still hanging out with us.
It still is.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why I like it.
In fact, I don't know if I'm going to even try this yet.
This would actually this will be a good complimentary.
Okay, because that's still hanging.
Also, Distiller's collection. This one though, we bottled at a little bit lower proof. We bottled this at 110 proof.
And as we know, one of my followers, Matt Podolaski, he likes everything over 100 proof in bourbon.
Oh.
Shout out to you, Matt. Sorry you're not here.
Always over 100. You can always bring a bud.
What did I just drink?
Chocolate malted high rye bourbon.
This is crazy.
It is a very unique expression.
That's crazy.
I haven't had this in a little while.
Bryce, I wish you could have some of this. Bryce don't want to be noticed. Bryce is our head guy here filming.
I mean, it's just a.
And you can take a picture, Bryce, if you want.
It's
Bryce,
just.
this right here.
It is so deep and rich.
I'm talking about your name, cameraman. It's my show, okay? I can talk about you. And this here.
That's cool, isn't it?
How much is left in that bottle? Okay. I'm not getting a good feel on this sample. Can I?
I mean, yeah, you're welcome to have a little bit more. And this is one we produce from time to time. It'll likely always be a limited offering from us. I don't know if we'll ever produce it at scale. So
how does that work as far as my bar, if I wanted to order some bottles? If it's on a, it's going to be hard to get in it.
Yeah, so this one I think we've only let one single barrel go of it. So what we typically do as a company, and every company has a different philosophy behind this, is if you're going to be a good supporter of us, we will open up our specialty releases to you, right? Because we want to invest in people who invest in us, right? And when we build relationships, we want to build them deep. When we know we're not a good fit for everybody, but we want to be a good fit for the right people.
Right.
And so for that, you know, if you were like, you were buying some good bourbon, we were becoming a good customer, I would say, you know what, come on down, I'll open up the warehouse, let's taste some specialty product.
I'm just amazed. I really am. I'm not just saying it because I'm here.
No, and
I am amazed.
Look, you know, we know our products aren't always for everybody, and that's okay. That's why when we walk in a liquor store, there's a ton of different options. But I think we got a good set here between sweet, a little bit more depth, a little bit more unique. This is a good representative sample of what we bring to the table.
I'll tell you, folks, now they're located, what's your address again here?
10 East 191st Street, Westfield, Indiana. And then also, downtown Indianapolis, 1660 Bellefontaine Street.
Yes, I've been to both today. So anyway, folks, it's worth the drive. If you're in northern Indiana, drive. If you're in Ohio, drive. If you're in Illinois, drive.
Yeah,
in Kentucky, come up here and see what you're missing with Indiana bourbon.
And you can get flights, right? If you're curious, you can sample our products in a number of different ways. We always offer rotating flights here. And you never know what we're going to have because it depends on what sells out and what we're bringing back in. But I think everyone can find something they like.
Okay, so let's just say me and my buddies want to go on a trip, taste your bourbon. Is there anything else to do in this area you'd recommend us to do?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a number of great restaurants. There's
Yours is one of them.
Yeah, sure. You know, if you like, I mean, the north side of Indianapolis has about everything, right?
Right.
There's great concerts. There's great. It's certainly in the summertime with the Monon Trail and what you can do, kind of walking places. You know, there's anything you can probably want to do on the north side of Indianapolis. Solid golf courses here, right? There's certainly more.
So we could make it a weekend trip.
You absolutely could.
Folks, I'd like to thank the West Forest Distillery for letting us have samples. We're going to film some other stuff and tell you more on this video, but I appreciate them opening their doors to us. Guys, this is one of the best places I've visited. I just want you to know that in sincerity. And I hope you guys come out and see it, and I hope you take as many bourbon bottles you can take back home and let your friends sample, because this stuff's awesome. And I got to tell you, it's the best bourbon I've had.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed it.
I
enjoyed it as well. Always love talking bourbon.
You know, more than that, I always like talking about successful entrepreneurs that decide to take a leap of faith, because I'm an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And to have the guts to, I mean, you put some money in this place, to have the guts to even step out and do that, it's admirable.
I'm still scared every day.
That's good. Makes you tread lightly.
That's right.
Well, until next time, folks, thanks you for listening to Journey's End Bourbon Talk, and we'll have some more videos coming to you soon.
Thank you.
And in the meantime, check out Journey's End Bourbon Talk on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. And we also got Instagram also and Facebook. Thank you and have a good day.
Cheers, y'all.